Hi everybody, it's been 6 weeks since I had my Achilles tendon surgery. I'm recovering well, and I just want to give you an update on what I'm doing and what the outlook is. So I went to physical therapy for the first time this week. And I guess before I get started, I found it kind of interesting that there's this discrepancy between what I'm told by the physician's assistant, the surgeon, and now my physical therapist. I guess one suggestion I have is to get in contact with your physical therapist as quickly as you can. It seems like they know kind of more about the recovery process, obviously, than the surgeon might or the physician's assistant might. So I kind of found out that I could have been doing a little bit more than what I have been. I was kind of told to not put really any weight on my foot, the one that I had surgery on. At physical therapy, I found out that I could have been putting some weight on it, and that at the 6-week mark to put as much weight as I want to that is tolerable. So I kind of immediately went into walking with my boot on. One thing that I want to point out too is that I think it's important. So see this boot I have on, it definitely raises me up off the ground quite a bit. Plus I have heel lifts in here that I'll show you in a minute. But when I'm sitting, if I don't have this contraption on my other shoe, my knee is going to be way up here. So this contraption I have is I have a shoe on and then this other shoe on. I think I had this from when I broke my toe a number of years ago, and so I was just able to reuse it because it makes my knees pretty level. And I think that's important to do, especially when you begin walking, because your center of gravity is going to be off anyways. But you don't want your knees to be misaligned, your hips back. It'll just cause all kinds of issues. So you kind of want to walk on an even surface like you would without these goofy boots on. My physical therapist mentioned another kind that I could get. It's on Amazon. I'll put it in the description if you're interested, if you have this same issue. At this physical therapy place I'm going to, it's the same place I got surgery. It's Twin Cities Orthopedics, and they do things, everybody does things a little bit differently. My physical therapist takes a little bit more conservative of an approach. And so, I don't know if you've heard about Aaron Rodgers, but he ruptured his Achilles tendon and he tried to come back as quickly as possible. And according to my physical therapist and many surgeons that she has talked to, they tend to think that Aaron Rodgers did it a little too quickly. It's probable that his Achilles healed in a longer position than they would have liked. And so this could cause some issues down the road, possibly. We'll have to see what happens. Everybody could be wrong. But I think I do like the idea of a conservative approach. And it's not super conservative. By about 6 months, I should be back to pretty much all activity. There are a few rules, like no barefoot walking until 16 weeks, no dorsiflexing or no stretching my calf for the first 6 months. I thought that was interesting. I mentioned to my physical therapist all the nutritional strategies that I'm implementing and some of the other things. One thing I still need to talk about is this NX Pro device. It's kind of like a microcurrent therapy. I've been doing that to activate some of my musculature around my Achilles tendon. I do think it's helping. I want to do it a couple more times before I really get into it. Another thing my physical therapist mentioned that I want to look into as well is blood flow restriction training. I did find a good study on that and its ability to increase my muscle and strength under a smaller load. So I'll talk about that in a future video, hopefully. But for this video, I just want to show you some of the exercises that I'm doing, and this is 6 weeks post-surgery. Okay, so for the first exercise, my leg is straight, and this is an isometric exercise, so I'm not moving, I'm just pushing against an immovable object. So I push for about 10 seconds, and then I take off, and then I do the opposite. I dorsiflex, so I'm flexing into the top of my boot here, pretty hard for about 10 seconds as well. Again, my foot isn't moving. Okay, so for this next one, I'm gonna take off my shoes here. So I'll probably fast forward through this part. So as you can see, my little fancy shoe device here. I've noticed too that since I've been doing full weight bearing, it does seem like my foot hasn't been so swollen. And I don't know if that's a timing thing or what, but okay, I'm gonna try, hopefully you can see all this. I'll take off my other sock too so you can see the comparison. So, you know, unfortunately the size of my quads and my calf has gotten noticeably smaller. I think she measured it at like an inch smaller, which is, I thought it would be worse. So, okay, here are my ankles. I'm not going to show you my scar. It's healing up pretty well. I've been putting some castor oil on my scar when I do my red light therapy at night. Okay, so I'm doing a lot of toe exercises right now, and it kind of makes sense because I've been off of my foot for so long. I can really feel it in my heel and in my arch when I'm putting pressure on my foot walking around in my boot. So I think strengthening your toes and some of the tendons and ligaments attached to your toes can be helpful for improving foot strength. Okay, so the first exercise is seated great toe extension. So I'm just lifting up, I'm keeping all my toes down except I'm lifting up my big toe. So I just do that 10 times. And that was surprisingly difficult like the first time I tried it. And then the next one, I lift up all my other toes and keep my big toe down. I'll do that for 10, my lesser toe extensions. And then for the last one, I just try to splay my toes out like as far as I can. So I simply do these every day, twice a day, just 10 reps of each of those exercises. And now for the fun one, or at least in my opinion, are seated calf raise activations. So I put a towel under my heel, just so I'm keeping that plantar flexion. I'll scooch up, and then I'm just simply going to, using my calf muscle, I'm going to pick up my heel. So I'm just kind of doing a calf raise. I'll hold it at the top for a second, slowly lower it back down, and I'll do this for 10 times. And I'm trying to use my full range of motion in terms of plantar flexion. So it definitely feels good to feel my calf, my soleus, being activated here. I still have a decent amount of swelling around my lower part of my lower leg, but supposedly that'll go away over time. So I'm just super glad that I'm finally starting to get to do some activity here. So those are the exercises that I'm currently doing. I'm optimistic. The road to recovery is obviously going to be a long one, but I'm optimistic that I'll heal relatively quickly and fully. The main thing is I want to heal fully so I can get back to 100%. I mean, even the surgeon told me, like, over time, when I am fully healed, my tendon really should be stronger than even my other tendon. So that's kind of cool. But I'm definitely not going to go and rupture my other tendon so it can get stronger. One more thing, according to my physical therapist, weeks 6 through 12, you are at the highest risk of re-rupture. And I'm guessing that's because people probably go too hard too soon. And I definitely don't want to go through this again. So I'm going to do everything I can to stay on track, not push it too hard, and just push it hard enough. I think next week I get to start removing some of these. My boot is kind of gross. I have all these heel inserts in my boot. As you can see, each one has like 3 inserts. So we're going to slowly start removing those, I think, next week from my boot. And pretty soon I'll be able to walk in shoes with a little bit of lift in my shoes. I'll check in next week and let you know how physical therapy is going and update you on any other things that I'm doing to help myself heal better. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.